Yeah, you know, James, I think for laziness sake, we'll just read them out of that article. That's the perfect article. Thank you. Made for low effort podcasting.
Our brand.
We should. It's a podcast all about reading IGN's feed.
I think I've got this new podcast idea. Just called Happy Hour. Not literally that you'd be drinking, but the rule is you have to start recording as soon as you finish work each day, so you're just completely, like, burned out. You weren't working today. I don't want to hear about it. You were just...
It was chaos today.
You were just
Holy
sitting
cow.
inside listening for every creak to be the sound of a tree ready to ruin the last 10 years of hard work. You had nothing going on.
Around 3 o'clock, I heard like a bunch of shouting and people like running back and forth. And I was like, don't look, just don't look. And it was fine. Whatever it was, well, it became fine. But
Yeah, you're hearing things like,
Everything's fine.
Cut it off. No, a tourniquet. We can save it. Yeah.
Wait, is the homeowner home?
I did ask beforehand. I'm like, should we be inside while you are like cutting the gigantic pine tree down? Like, oh yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, they're probably like, it's better there than anywhere else. Dave, I expect a retweet.
Yes, sir. Captain social media.
I mean, you won't, you know, share us with all of your followers. So.
I don't share my own content with my followers.
Oh, see, we're making you content. Such low effort content. All you got to do is click share.
My uncle stopped by after they left for the day, and they have like all the trucks and equipment just in the yard still for tomorrow. And he's like, "Yeah, that wood chipper is like $120,000 unit right there."
But I mean, when you can just stuff a whole tree into it, it's kind of hard to argue with those results.
I could not believe that. It was basically just 3 guys all shaking different parts of the top of the tree as it just went into the wood chipper. It's like, holy crap.
If it's that big, though, you got to know, like, if a car gets in there, a person, it won't even feel. You won't even hear a person.
It was a big enough branch that they still had it on the crane, right? The crane was guiding it into the wood chipper, and the guys were just like keeping it aligned. I'm like, you could literally just push like a boat in there. Whole bunch of people at the same time.
Yeah, those are the 2 things we should think about. Good times.
Are you looking to rent it for non-tree purposes?
I mean, if you're using it for those purposes, you're not going to rent it anyway. Or you can rent it and just never return it.
You're not going to get that deposit back. Yeah, well, I think it'll be probably seized.
What got me is that none of them were wearing hearing protection. Just the classic good old boy style. And just from like 60 feet away, it was like painfully loud. The wood chipper, all the chainsaws going, and none of them are wearing ear pro at all. I'm just like, it's probably too late at this point. Like, they're just not even noticing it anymore. Right.
James, have you watched Loki?
I only watched a few episodes.
You're not liking it? Oh, we're loving it.
I might get more into it. WandaVision was just okay. I couldn't get into Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, man. Okay,
I'm having a hard time with Marvel shows.
Wow. We've enjoyed all of them. WandaVision, I think, was our favorite so far. Falcon Winter Soldier, we started out kind of meh on. We thought it got really good by the end. And so far, we're having a blast with Loki.
I think Mandalorian kind of set me on a bad footing.
Of just being bitter about things?
Bitter at Disney.
Oh,
it's like, it's a Disney show. I'm not going to enjoy it. Maybe you and Joel can podcast sometime about that.
I don't think we should.
Wow, you guys are going to ask me if I've seen the latest superhero flick? Wow. Wow.
Yeah, Dave and I can have our Expanse review show where I talk about things. And he's like, wow, I didn't pick up any of that while I was watching on my phone on the couch. Yeah, those details were hard to see.
Guys, I love this show.
I actually spend more time watching shows on my iPad than any other screen in the house. Just because you can just be doing something else and have it on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
We actually bought a one of the mid-range fire tablets, James, to to watch shows on. Now that Micah controls the TV and all we have is Daniel Tiger and PBS on our nice big living room TV. But we got it right before all the summer chaos started, so I have not watched a single thing since The Expanse in April.
Nice.
So, good investment right there.
I was using my Fire tablet for like years. It was the 10-inch one. And it works really well for all that. I just needed something that was more flexible for other stuff too.
Yeah.
And it was near my birthday, so.
More flexible for other stuff.
For his birthday. I don't know what any of that means, but I like all the implications.
Because of the implication.
What episode is that? We are almost done with season 5, and I keep waiting for. I thought we were going to get it because we just watched the Dennis system the other day.
It's the one where they buy a boat.
Okay, all right, because I thought it was going to be in the Dennis system, which that was definitely one of those episodes I was watching. I was like, I don't feel like they'd get away with this one today.
Very true. First of all,
most of the show is that way now. It's the third. It's apparently the third episode of the 6th season.
Okay, all right, we're close. We're close.
There's a hurricane coming too, right? Like they buy a boat and there's a hurricane.
No,
is that a different episode I'm thinking of?
Yep. There is a hurricane coming, and they go down to the American Home Store, or whatever it's called. It's like the Walmart equivalent, and they're like trying to hunker down in the bar.
There's a lot of episodes where
no, this is the one where this is the one. No, you're the one you're thinking of, I think. Where you made also threats is when they did that cruise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing one more bit of
lights
news, and then I am
real quick.
I'm good starting whenever you guys are.
See if this warms it up some.
Did I tell you we bought a PreSonus Quantum interface? It's a Thunderbolt. It has like 8 XLR inputs. There's a bunch of...
Quantum. What are you recording with this?
Hopefully a little bit of everything.
I mean, all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make nice stuff.
I mean, it's the 2626.
Okay. Nice. Isn't it great that things aren't using FireWire anymore?
Well, the downside of using Thunderbolt, I mean, Thunderbolt's amazing because like it's 40 gigabit per second. So it's got a lot of bandwidth. The downside is getting something that's actually compatible with it is harder. Like we're either going to build a studio PC or we're still debating on if we want to do a Mac. To build a studio PC, it limits all the motherboards to like almost $400, which we don't really need a gaming one. Because most like 3.6.
Is it because like most people don't need a Thunderbolt 3 compatibility with anything, so the few boards that have it are expensive?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
okay.
And there was only very few like ATX size. It was all like mini ITX. And
Does a regular iMac have Thunderbolt 3?
yeah.
Because I bet your regular iMac these days with the M1 would be plenty fast for all recording stuff and would still give you... Probably that might be the cheapest way to get in.
So I've been debating on doing the Mac Mini. And doing that with the M1 and just boosting it to 16 gigs of RAM. And then just, bumping up the internal storage.
The minimum isn't 16?
The minimum is 8. And every Mac you see in the store now comes with 8.
Ugh.
No.
Because it's unified. Yeah, I guarantee you.
Like
look it up on Best Buy.
Even MacBook Pros?
Well, MacBook Pro isn't M1 yet, I don't think.
Yeah, they have. Well, MacBook Air is M1.
Right.
Okay.
Go to Apple's default is 8. If you go to Best Buy, if you go to Costco, if you go. I
had 8 gigs of. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I had 8 gigs of RAM in 2009, and I think I went to 16 in like 2012.
So I don't know how the whole unified memory works. Like, I don't know if it's just a marketing term or if it does actually benefit from being tied to the processor too.
I mean, unified memory is a thing, but I don't think that means you just cut it in half.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what they effectively did.
I think that's them just being stupid.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to buy a Mac Mini on Apple's website. Son of a bitch. You can spend $900 on an entry. Let's see how expensive. This is good podcast content. Let's see how expensive can I make this with still 8 gigs of RAM in it. You can add 10 gigabit Ethernet. All right, I've got it optioned up to $1,600 for a 2 terabyte SSD, 10 gigabit Ethernet, and 8 gigs of unified memory.
Unified memory, you say?
Unified memory.
Let me write that check.
All right, hold on. I'm going to now look at, again, great content. The cheapest MacBook Pro 16. I mean, that's the one I have, and I'm pretty sure that's 16 gigs default. What about a 13-inch? Get Epic back on the phone. We need to write this injustice. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? You can get an M1 MacBook Pro starting at $1,500 with 8 gigabytes of unified memory. You can option it up to $2,100 and it comes with 8 gigabytes of memory. Unified memory. Sorry. I'm going to Google unified memory versus RAM. Oh, you douchebags.
Unified memory scam? Question mark?
What Apple calls unified memory is really heterogeneous cache coherency. Okay. Traditionally, to share data between GPU, ISP, CPU, and other processors, software needs to manually manage RAM usage between all the agents. This is inefficient and uses lots of bandwidth. Having all the processing agents share the same memory space allows these agents to see the changes made by other agents, which makes things like cache-to-cache transfers possible without needing to write to DRAM and then read from DRAM. It's faster and saves a lot of power since the data never has to leave the chip. Okay, that makes sense. However, I don't think that means you just cut the memory in half and then nothing changes. That doesn't make any sense.
That's a cost-saving decision.
I have not.
I mean, it's standard. Like everywhere, if you go to like a retail store, even like if you anywhere that sells Macs has the Mac displays, they only carry the 8 gigabyte models. Like you have to special order the 16 gigabyte.
Get the boat. They were just trying to store up some money because they were worried they were going to lose the Epic lawsuit. So, you know, Apple's trying to be concerned for the rainy day fund.
News spoiler.
If Apple took all of their cash, which is like a couple $1 billion, how many billions of dollars do they have on hand?
How much of it came from Joel is the real question.
I'm talking 6%. About cash on hand, James, not like they're worth as a company. I see you looking.
Apple has nearly $200 billion in cash and marketable securities.
Okay, so if they put, can you look up what their operating income, their operating revenue is each year?
Oh man,
I'm just wondering if they took the cash on hand and put it into an index fund. They just buy the S&P 500.
The economy crashes.
Their 2020 revenue was $137 billion.
Okay, so they're not there yet, but if they get in that endowment a little higher, they could just throw it all in an index fund and never have to actually make products, and they could become even more insufferable at that point. They could make
basically they could become Valve. They don't have to make products anymore.
I can't believe Apple hasn't gotten into making games just for the sheer sake of they're looking at Valve and they're like, wait, they haven't released anything new in how long? I don't want to make 18 new versions of an iPhone this year. Stop hitting. Oh man. I'm just riffing now. Would Apple, they'll definitely be the first company to remove charging ports from a phone and then make people think that that's a brave decision. Could they be the first company that releases the same physical hardware for a new year with different software and convinces everyone that that is a new phone? The hardware is only the shell that the soul inhabits. We've made the first iOS 16, the first operating system with a soul.
Behold the end times.
Anyway, do you guys want to start the podcast?
Sure, we can keep riffing.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to stop riffing, but I think they could actually do it. And yeah, you can steal that idea, Apple. All I ask for is...
Like, I was surprised when my phone didn't come with headphones, like, a few times ago. Mm-hmm. But then they stopped coming with, like, charging blocks, even. It's just like, seriously?
It sucks. The headphones, the earbuds that came with my S8 were AKG earbuds with a good inline mic.
I have some of those.
Same ones, yeah. I still use them. They're awesome. And I'm not saying I wish my iPhone had come with Apple earbuds because they suck, but
I actually like their earbuds.
I've never liked them. I mean, it's personal preference. I've just never thought they were comfortable or sounded that good. But we've fallen that far to, like, we don't even put a charger in the box now because we assume you have some.
Look, guys, these are only like $1,200 devices. You're setting the bar way too high.
Dave, you need to go look at the top price of the top iPhone 13 SKU.
What if I didn't? I just buy your used phones.
Ooh, what are you gonna do when I only have an iPhone to sell you?
Probably switch to an iPhone.
I would sell you my S10, but this one's had a hard time over the past couple of months. I don't know if you'll want this one when I'm
What's
done
happening with it?
Well, it's the one that I dunked in the water at the beach. Well, I mean, that was fine. Then I blew the water through the waterproof seals and it stopped working for a couple days. And then I brought it back with a bag of rice. And then I switched to an iPhone and the iPhone wasn't working. So I switched back to the Android and then I dropped it and cracked the screen. And now I'm back on the iPhone. Everything's working great, though. I'm not going to get rid of it. Okay, so the iPhone 13...
You should see how many viruses you can keep on it and still run.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Top of the line iPhone. I don't have any viruses. What are you talking about? It's an Android.
You should get some.
Oh, okay.
I don't pause to get offended.
Yeah,
for
James.
a second.
I don't install new apps. I can't get viruses. I haven't changed the apps I have on my phone in like 4 years. All right. So Dave, iPhone 13 Pro Max. I know none of those words mean anything to you. Let's say graphite. All the colors presumably are the same. With 1 terabyte of storage. No idea on how much unified memory it has. How much money do you think that is?
So not rose gold, though.
iPhone,
just graphite.
iPhone, I can switch it over to regular gold. iPhone 13 Pro Max. Those are all separate words with 1 terabyte of storage.
A terabyte of storage?
A terabyte of storage.
Cha-ching.
I'm going to bet full retail cost, like, I'll say 1,800 is what I would bet
1,600. You were going high. You were going high because you figured like it's got to be absurd.
Well, I mean, even some of the high-end Androids are 1,200 now. Like if you're buying them unlocked.
Yeah.
But that's okay because GPU prices have dropped so much. You know, it makes up for the difference.
My S10e is 512 gigs and is worth $180, I think, on eBay right now. Maybe slightly more. Maybe 220. Also has an expansion slot. Anyway, welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremiah. Tonight, I am joined by Papa James.
What's up?
And the Ranger.
I really don't like the choking sounds.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I think I wanted to do like the Ranger, but then I decided not to.
Can we go back to the camel
Good
noises?
decision.
We're not joined by Joel, who is on vacation.
On his 19th vacation of the year.
Yeah, there does seem to be a lot of vacations. As the person who approves his vacation time, this doesn't really add up, but that's fine.
I feel like he's found a like a wormhole in the back end for his vacation hours. It's just like it's not actually taking him out every time.
I do wonder sometimes. I'm like, did I remember to actually like mark the vacation time to get somebody, or like is somebody getting away with this? Because there's definitely been
I've got
times,
like 6 weeks left.
right? There's definitely been times people are like, yeah, I'm taking a sick day, and I'm like, all right, cool. And 6 months later, I'll be like, I don't remember ever approving a personal day for this person. Oh well.
Joel.
Our software is terrible. I don't think we really have any announcements. I mean, you can write into the show, casualshenanigans@gmail.com. We do have some mail today. You can tweet at casualshenanigan. I have not checked it since the last episode, but that is an option that you can do. Do you guys want to launch right into the main topic tonight?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The main topic is Sony State of Play 2021. So Sony, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, was not at E3 this year, just like they weren't going to be at E3 last year or the year before, whenever. I don't know.
Are you asking that because it wasn't in the article?
I haven't started reading the article yet. I'm giving myself like some verbal filler while I catch up to the next thing.
The answer is correct.
Okay. So they're basically doing Nintendo Directs now, although unlike Nintendo, they have decided to put worthwhile content in theirs. So they did Sony Direct a week ago. Yeah, a week ago sounds right. And there were some major announcements. Now, again, this new, fresher Casual Shenanigans Gaming, we are not bringing you hard-hitting breaking news. We're here to talk about the news several weeks later for all the middle-aged dads who did not have time to watch it either and who also are trying to catch up on their commute to work. We see you.
We're bringing you the old news because we're now old.
Exactly. So the first announcement, or the first one that I'm reading in line in this article from The Verge that lays out all the announcements, is the one that I'm excited about. Knights of the Old Republic is getting a remake. I'm super excited.
Pretty jazzed.
Yeah. I have still never played it all the way through. I've never played it more than a couple hours because I can't get over the old interface. I think we talked about in this podcast a couple years ago. I tried it again, and I just couldn't get past a certain point because it felt too dated, and I didn't have nostalgia pushing me through. So, from people who actually... Dave, did you play Knights of the Old Republic?
I watched Joel play some, but I have not played it.
Okay, all right, so
no.
James, out of all of us, you're the only one who really knows it then. Are you wanting them to actually change gameplay as well, or are you hoping they can just port gameplay and just update graphics and sound and that stuff?
I mean, I enjoyed playing it. I played it back on the original Xbox when it came out. So, I mean, the controls were fine. The PC controls, it's been a little bit updated since. Like, it's not, you don't have to choose mouse and keyboard. You can actually, use a controller too. So they've updated a little bit to be a little bit more modern. But for me, having played it back in the day, I don't have to just, I enjoy it because of nostalgia, but I'm kind of used to how BioWare progressed. Mm-hmm. Like, by the time Dragon Age finally came out, like, the whole, like, not quite real time, but real time, like, you click and it goes and click and it goes. I'm used to that. I don't know if I want them to completely redo the combat or anything like that. I think I'm fine with the still, turn-based, real-time turn-based, mm-hmm. But
which
I don't know much. I don't know much that I would want changed.
Which characters from the new trilogy would you like to see in Knights of the Old Republic remake?
Well, there's this one scene where you get to kill people. You can just line them all up.
Which future Force Ghost are we gonna get?
Insomniac is making Spider-Man 2 and a Wolverine game. Spider-Man 2 I don't think is really a surprise to anybody. Dave,
the only surprise out of that was Venom.
Is Venom going to be in it?
No, the game.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay, I didn't even watch this conference. I know about that because
I'm reading through this article, and I'm sorry, there's stuff in here. I'm like, what the heck is all of this stuff?
I'm glad we went live when we did. Show prep is nothing.
Making Spider-Man 2 and a Wolverine game. That's cool. Dave, if you still haven't done this, you need to come over. Oh, I sold my PS4 Pro.
I still have mine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You need to install...
Why'd you sell your PS4 Pro?
Because someone at work...
Did you think you were getting a PS5?
No. Someone at work was really trying to get one to play Destiny, and they were just, having a hard time, wanted to help them out, and I wasn't playing it that much. So I figured there's no Sony games I want to play bad enough that I can't wait until I get a PS5. But Ghost of Tsushima does look really good. Dave, you need to just swing around the city on the projector as Spider-Man. It's an experience.
You need to do it on the PS5
in ray tracing.
Running at 60 with ray tracing.
That would be great. We have a God of War Ragnarok trailer. Did either of you guys play God? Well, I know Dave didn't. James, did you play God of War?
I didn't finish God of War, but
okay. How far in did you get?
I don't remember. Not that far.
Okay. I think it's an incredible game. It's one of the few games that, like, my wife sat with me while I played it and really, really enjoyed it. Like, she was invested in the story and enjoyed the music and everything else. It's a pretty small... Actually, it's just Naughty Dog games and God of War. So...
Have you watched any of it, Dave? Watched Joel play any God of War?
I mean, yeah, when it first launched, just a very short segment.
Like, even just the intro, the music in the intro is just...
Yeah.
Like, it's like almost breathtaking. Like, the mood that it creates.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Bear.
Tiny Tina's Wonderland has a release date. That is, as far as I can tell, an RPG based in the world of Borderlands where the main character is Tiny Tina.
Yes.
I don't care about this at all. Do you care about this? I did not know this was a thing. Do you care, James?
We'll see.
Okay. What is Forspoken? Because I did watch the trailer for this, and I've heard the name, but the name is such a generic fantasy-sounding name that I have no idea what this game is.
Go ahead, take it away, Dave.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of this, so... I'm commenting based off of my Twitter highlight reel that scrolled by as it was happening. So there's that.
James, do you know what Forspoken is? I'm watching the trailer right now on mute. I mean...
I don't.
Is it by the
It reminds me of...
Prototype?
Not... It does remind me of a Prototype game. What was the other game that was on PS4 where you play kind of a superhero?
Oh! I know what you're talking about. With the guy who can do the electricity stuff with his hands. Infamous.
Infamous.
Yeah. Is it by the same
reminds me a little
creators?
bit of that. I don't think so.
Oh man, you could have told me it was, and I'd believe you. Okay. I mean, it does have really cool looking combat and everything. It does look a lot like Infamous. We've probably stopped talking about it because we have nothing to contribute. Let's talk about the Alan Wake remaster. Because that's something you guys... All right, Dave, have you played Alan Wake? Because you seemed interested in this.
All the way through. It was excellent.
Okay.
I loved Alan Wake. It was just... the gameplay was okay, but the atmosphere... Like, it helped me just fall in love with the Pacific Northwest. And that's it's on my bucket list.
It's one of those games, wouldn't you say, James, where like it's hard to describe what made it so good other than it just hit a lot of the right notes in the right way together. Right. It's hard to explain. It just was a very enjoyable playthrough. And yeah, the area is a big part of it.
I think there are games that you play through and there are games that you experience, and it felt more experience to me.
There you go.
Because the level design wasn't that great. Like, it was very linear. It's
very really, Half-Life 2 feeling.
Very
like
top
Half-Life
to the bottom,
1.
bottom to the top type level design.
Yeah.
But, you know, anytime you go to a new area, it was really cool. It's been a long time, but thinking about like that one like facility where they had like the concert stuff set up. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was just really cool environments.
James, have you been to the Pacific Northwest yet?
Not yet.
Okay. From being there a couple times, I think you'd really, really like it.
I want to go off the beaten path. I don't want to just go to like Seattle and hang out. I want to go like to like just the mountains and experience like some of the small towns.
The high desert of Oregon, the high desert and then Bend, Oregon were super cool. That was some of our favorite parts. I had no idea there was a high desert in Oregon. We went to like the High Desert Museum and just the wildlife and the fauna and everything, the flora, whichever. It was really, really interesting.
I thought the high desert was in Colorado.
Oh, no, it's also in Oregon. Trust me, it's in Oregon.
Covers a lot of states these days.
A lot's legal in Oregon. Colorado just has weed. All right, so we're excited about Alan Wake. Can we shit on Grand Theft Auto 5 for a bit? Because they have a new trailer, which I love that the Verge article says, the next-gen version of Grand Theft Auto 5, which it should be noted originally launched in 2013.
Just in case you forgot.
It's coming to the PlayStation 5 next year. Okay, here's what I don't understand. Please help me understand this, guys. You can put a PS4 disc in a PS5 and play pretty much every PS4 game, right?
Right.
Okay. And the trailer they showed for Grand Theft Auto 5 did not show or did not talk about any enhancements that I could tell. No ray tracing, no like 6K textures. Like, they weren't bragging about like a next gen overhaul. They were just saying it's coming to next gen, right?
I would imagine they're redoing some of the stuff quite a bit, though.
But it's not
say
clear.
that, but
Yeah.
From watching the trailer, this looks 100% like the PS4 version. This doesn't even look as good as the PC version.
But it says it has improved graphics and enhanced gameplay, Jeremiah.
How is the gameplay enhanced? I hate that.
It doesn't
term.
matter. It says enhanced.
Okay, so I'm
it's
guessing
enhanced.
it's the PS...
Honestly, I think if they're going to do enhanced, it's probably going to be using the adaptive triggers, if anything, using the controller.
That'd probably be a part
Worth
of it.
So when you pull out your Glock and you're like, pep, you feel it.
I see more lens flares, but man, the explosions in this game, the explosions did not hold up well at the time.
Well, it's just the game is already out on PS5. As far as I can tell, the PC version that came out in 2015 looks better, in my opinion, than the trailer that they showed.
I feel like the only real reason to get it for that is to get rid of loading times. But if you haven't played it 400 times since it came out, you should go back and experience it the right way.
Experience the loading times.
Loading times, yeah.
Yeah.
The likes, dislikes, and comments are pretty great on the trailer. It has 28,000 likes because it's the official PlayStation account. 28,000 likes, almost 200,000 dislikes.
Yeah, democracy.
The comments are great. Seamless character switching. So the PS5 has an SSD. Good work.
Also, I think seamless character switching, that was a thing when it first released if you had a PC. Like when it first released on PC, right?
I feel like even the PC version suffered from that long load time issue.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I seem to remember.
Didn't somebody figure out how to fix
only
that?
recently.
Though?
Yeah,
Only
and the
recently,
long load
yeah.
issue, that's just to load into the online version. I don't think that changes anything for like switching between characters.
I seem to remember when I was playing through the story finally on PC that the character switching, I was so excited to be able to do that. I was going to do it all the time. And then it was like a 30-second switch every time. And I did it 3 times and was done.
Okay.
So maybe it is a feature now.
Ghostwire
I feel
Tokyo. Oh, sorry.
I have to say, I feel like when Skyrim announced that they were releasing a new version, they were just like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this."
Yeah. But at this
I
point,
mean, they were 2011, weren't they?
yeah, I say at this point they're just pissing on us. Like Bethesda's just like, you'll buy it. Like they can just put out a trailer that's like,
Okay, but the solace I take though is we know that they're working on Starfield, and we know that Elder
That's a
Scrolls
good
6
point.
is at least in the works.
This is
Like
this is
Rockstar is
giving
just
them a
like-
tip.
Rockstar's looking at Call of Duty Warzone seasons, and they're trying to outdo each other with how stupid the concept for each new expansion can be. You heard it here first.
I loved that comic I ran across where it's like the guy does the Terminator time travel and he wakes up in the alleyway and he's like, "What year is it?" He runs over to the game store and there's a big poster in the window, Skyrim release, and he goes, "What year is it?"
Ghostwire.
This is something
Tokyo.
our grandkids are going to be like. Okay, you'll move along when I'm ready. Okay, I'm the oldest. I tell us when to move.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
We have these games that, like, you know, I play as a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, when I was a kid, I used to play these 2D scrolling games. I feel like when our kids become older and they have their own kids, they'll be like, yeah, when I played the game you're playing now when I was a kid.
They'll be watching the 8th reboot of Spider-Man and the Avengers series, playing the 36th anniversary of Skyrim.
It's too true, James. Like, even Battlefield's doing that now. I'm going to be like, back in my day, all we had was Battlefield 3. And they'll be like, Grandpa, we're playing Battlefield 3 in the Portal still. It's got all the content.
We did discover something pretty amazing. We took a vacation a few weeks ago, and my wife's really into like Super Mario 3. So I was looking through hacked ROMs, and apparently like there's this whole like world of games that have like recreated Super Mario 3 into all these like basically new games.
Yeah.
And so we sat and played a bunch of like some really crappy, some pretty amazing. So
That's awesome.
I'm okay with a little nostalgia.
Hmm.
You can move it on now.
Ghostwire Tokyo. I don't know what it is.
I'm glad we had this intro 3 times.
Uncharted is getting remastered. Now, I've never played a Thief's End or Lost Legacy, so I might pick them up. But they're being remastered for PlayStation 5 and PC, which is cool.
That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I might replay them on the Steam Deck. Dave, you've never played.
I forgot about the Steam Deck.
Yeah, well, I've tried to just block it out of my mind. It comes out when it comes out. Dave, you never played Uncharted, have you?
Mm-mm.
You're never going to, and that's okay. But
yeah, it's not likely at this point.
But they're super enjoyable. That's all. Well, but I think that could be a Dave plays hold on the Steam Deck while he's laying on the couch with Micah. I don't know how many more years Micah's going to want to lay on the couch, though.
Oh, you already can't do anything with him on the couch because he's a toddler, so he climbs now.
Okay.
If you're sitting on the couch, you are the jungle gym. If you want to read something, respond to a message, use a laptop, drink your coffee, you stay at the island where he can't climb you as easily.
Welcome to Violence with Micah.
Also, James probably understands this. What is with toddler feet and being like painful rubber mallets? Like, when he climbs you, it feels like someone's beating you with bats. It's like, what is this? All right, carry on.
And then Gran Turismo 7's coming out next year. I don't care because Forza. Yeah,
You used to be a Gran Turismo man, didn't you?
I used to be, yeah. They just stopped releasing games. They still have a better, not better tuning, but better upgrade paths for their cars and stuff. Yeah. Like, Forza's never quite matched that. But, I don't know, at the end of the day, I want to drive.
What if you're going to upgrade your cars to a game you don't want to drive in?
Exactly. But I still pretty much every weekend, if I wake up early and not in the mood to like watch a movie or something, I will get a podcast, put it on my Bluetooth speaker, and I'll just hop into Forza and I'll build a car from scratch and I'll pick a track and I'll just like lap the track for a while. Listen to the podcast, nice. Just turning laps.
That's nice.
All right.
That's pretty much what you do outside of
I wish
that game too.
I wish. But on real tracks, James. Real tracks. I'll get
play on semi-real tracks.
Yeah.
Parking lots.
I did practice for the track sprint we did last year at a certain big name racetrack near us. I did practice like the interior course that we were using is in the game, and I was able to do like laps in there. It doesn't feel the same though. The feeling of like cresting this hill and the car getting a little loose in the real world when you're going 100 miles an hour, that is a very different feeling. The game can't simulate the puckering that happens.
Well, you gotta get that rewind button in real life.
I wish.
All right. The only game that has successfully simulated the puckering is Alien Isolation.
It's now time to talk about what are you playing this week. A part of the podcast we're talking about what have you been playing since the last podcast. Now, I have a thing that I want to talk about for a little bit, so I'm going to go last. Dave, you wrote stuff down. Would you like to go? I believe you have an exciting announcement to make while Joel's not here.
Yeah, I played almost 2 hours of Mass Effect, literally just to spite Joel.
Suck it, Joel. He's not going to listen to this.
I put like a little photo of him over the screen and just glared at him the whole time.
It's like the Simpsons thing. Do it for her. Do it to him.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I'm having a really hard time. It's been such a busy summer. Like, it's tons of stuff accomplished, but I'm having a hard time disengaging from project mode and just sitting down to unwind. That's why Anno was so insane hours wise, because I could just not think about it. I could just play for ridiculous hours. But yeah, back in the saddle for Mass Effect. Just time to go out of town this weekend and not play it at all for a week. Played some Battlefield with multiple titles, 5, some 1 with the crew, and have managed to dial my Anno time down. I only played a few hours this week, so
nice.
It is more under control now.
We need to relax. Let's go get some barbecue tomorrow for lunch. What are you doing?
I'm out of town tomorrow.
Speaking of Joel, he did pop in the chat.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm not seeing any chat. Let me...
Wow, he's been here listening.
2 hours of graphic tweaks and lore reading doesn't count.
I only opened the menu one time, and that's because I forgot one of the controls. I couldn't open a door.
Guys, I'm really sorry. I thought no one was actually chatting during the podcast because somehow I switched something on YouTube where the chat's been hidden this entire time. I thought just nobody was watching the live recording. Yeah.
Now, I will confess that about 30 minutes of that almost 2 hours was on my ship, talking to people, wandering.
Well, no,
looking at the
that's an
inventory.
important part.
That's part of the experience. That's
Yeah.
actually probably my favorite experience. I feel like the combat for me was just like, all right, let me get through this to get to more of the story.
Certainly,
Yeah,
in the first
combat
game
in
it
one
is.
is
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sweet. And yeah, for Anno, me and Dave and a couple other people from the crew have started a 4-person cooperative Anno game. And the nice thing about it is we're all playing the same corporation, but you can drop in, drop out, so everyone doesn't have to be there every time. Although, Dave, in the session that you weren't in last time, I think we figured out that we would need way tougher enemies, because 3 people micromanaging every facet, we are so much more optimized. Like, we're making good money. Our economy's ahead, our military's ahead, like, they have no chance. So we need a tougher challenge. James, what about you? Have you been playing anything?
I played a little bit while I was on vacation. Been playing a lot of 2D games. I played some Axiom Verge. I don't know if you know what that is. It's
I know what it is. I've
basically,
never played
like,
it. I've always wanted to.
Yeah. Played several of those. And also played some stupid game on the phone there you like pour liquids, different colored liquids into different vials to get them to match. It's stupidly addictive, and I'm glad that I uninstalled it. Because I honestly think we lost an entire day of vacation due to everybody playing. Like, literally all the adults sitting around playing this game for hours on end.
I mean, sometimes those are the best memories, though, of like, especially when you know it's a super stupid game, but you don't want to stop playing because it's so fun. I don't know. And on vacation, you've got the time to waste.
You guys can try it. Make sure you use promo code Papa James.
Don't do it. I love you all too much.
Well, what's the name of the game in case anyone listening to us does want to go look at it?
Carry on, riff.
Okay. So I started playing Hades because it landed on Game Pass, and I am enjoying it so far. I'm not really an isometric dungeon crawler fan, but I'm having a good time. I don't know how long the game is, but I'll probably keep playing it.
I did try that game out too.
Hades?
Since
Yeah, what
was
do you
on
think?
Game Pass. Yeah, it's really well done. I like the mechanics of it. I'm not a fan of procedural games. Like I just don't enjoy roguelites. I like games that have been kind of handcrafted, but it's done well enough, and there's enough interesting story to it that it doesn't feel that, random.
I think they do have a good job of they do a good job of leaning into the whole procedural part and making that part of the story. And each time it feels like enough stuff is different that they're actually paying attention. So I don't know. I've still only played like an hour though, so we'll see. But
I can't really see water sort puzzle.
That sounds like a scam.
That sounds like a
sort
virus.
puzzle. Yeah.
It's got a 4.8 rating out of 119,000 people.
Oh no.
It's number 2 chart on the puzzle downloads. So,
All right. So the main thing I want to talk about what I was playing this week, and I want you get poke holes in me as much as you need to. So after last time where I made fun of Star Citizen for a bit, I had the thought, I was like, it's been like 5 years since I even installed the alpha. I'm curious what type of shape the game's in. And it took me a while to reclaim my account because apparently they did account migrations or something years ago, and I never responded to the emails or whatever. So I had to fill out a support ticket and, get the game installed and whatever. And I booted in. And the thing that I was making fun of last time, I was reading someone else making fun of it technically, but I thought it was funny too. I did that exact thing. I picked where I wanted to spawn in. I spawned in this big spaceport, Lorville. And I woke up in my little apartment thing, and I walked out into this busy spaceport with people walking around. I think most of them AI, and there's shops to go into, and menus are like maps. And I rode the metro across this city on this planet to the spaceport. I had to Google how to actually go pick up my ship. I picked up my ship.
You had to claim your account in game too.
Yeah. I picked up my ship. I got into the right hangar. Like, it took 10 minutes to find the right hangar. It gets progressively easier as you go. And I radioed for permission to take off. Oh, there goes James. I radioed for permission to take off. And then I launched up into the air and started, accelerating and gaining altitude. And I flew in real time to scale from the surface of this planet into space and docked at a space station that is actually orbiting the planet. And when you land at the space station, you can see the giant building in that city is visible from space. The actual building in the game is visible from space. I broke Atmo at 10,000 or no, 100,000 meters or something. Like, there's a lot wrong with the game. It is so glitchy. Me and Chris are playing it. I've had to do a character reset once. We've had to switch servers a bunch of times. We've been disconnected. It's lost our money. There are all kinds.
But it's multiplayer already too.
Oh yeah. Persistent universe. I've been killed by other players. I don't want to spend. I could spend an hour talking right now, and I'm not going to unless you guys want to. But the scale, the thing that I said, I remember I talked about this in the podcast 8 years ago or something. They were talking about you'll be able to fly from the surface or like from space and land on the surface of the planet with no loading screens. And at the time, that sounded like a pure fantasy that would ever happen. And of course, No Man's Sky has it, but it's not the same. It's like you accelerate and it's crazy for a couple seconds and then you're in space. We were doing a delivery mission where the conceit of the mission is you can't use your warp stuff. You can't use quantum travel. You have to actually fly normally. And we had to orbit, like we had to fly around to the other side of this planet to deliver something. And we're flying into a sunrise on a planet-sized planet, high enough, like in orbit, but angled up just enough that we're not falling back into Atmo, so we can still keep maximum speed. And we don't have to use our thrusters because we're going at, like, we're in space. We've set our trajectory and we're slingshotting our way around the planet. Like, as the planet rotates and there's a sunrise, and then we have to break into Atmo, and then we have to manage our heat because we're like the front of the ship's on fire, and we land on this planet and deliver this stuff. And it's like, I can't believe this is a real thing. That
so you would say
exists.
then definitely that your wow factor from the concept, it's already getting you in the alpha that it's possible.
Yes.
Would you say that that's like it's real, it's in front of your face, and it's still that amazing to you?
100%. The first time I did an EVA in space, I went to go pick up this thing out of some shipwreck, and it's some ship in some star system, and I have to open the back door of my ship and float out in my EVA suit. And the feeling of like, I am in open space right now, 100,000 kilometers away from a friendly face. And I'm going to go to like, yes, exactly. I had a like skin crawly feeling of like,
space is the final nightmare.
If I was doing this in VR, I think I said in our Discord, if I was wearing VR for this, I think I would cry and then throw up. Like, it's so buggy, but like, when I say no game, not DayZ, not Arma, no buggy sim that we've talked about, the immersion. I'm not saying, Dave, you haven't had the same experience. I fully trust that you have in other games. The immersive factor of like...
My bar might be a little bit lower.
the immersive factor
I
of
have been plenty of
this,
games.
Yeah. It's just insane. My friend Chris, his ship got destroyed due to all the bugs. And I space Ubered down to, like, I went and got him on the planet he was on and, broke Atmo and leveled out before the ground and stabilized everything. We could fly to each other, and we can't dock with the two ships that we own, but we can stop in the middle of some nebula in space, open our hatches, and, like, float to each other's ship and get inside each other's ships and ride around and stuff. And you can just log out. You can get out of your cockpit, turn your engines off. The ship just goes dead and is floating through space. You can climb into your bunk and log out there. It's wild. It is
just a couple of friends 100,000 miles away from any other human docking together in their bunk.
Exactly. But and I think they've done a pretty incredible job of the controls. You can get super simmy. You can have eye tracking, head tracking,
of course, yeah.
Like you can have all of that stuff. Or I'm just playing mouse and keyboard, and the 6-axis flying is simple enough that after a few minutes, like I'm doing okay at it. Every once in a while, the controls stop responding, and the other night I did hit a space station at a high rate of speed. But like when everything's working and it definitely is not always working. It is honestly the most unique gaming experience I think I've ever had, in that I can't believe it's a real thing. Not just because it's Star Citizen and it's a meme. I can't believe there's a game that is this grand in scope that I can actually do this stuff.
That's the question, though. Is it still a meme if it's doing it? It's not finished yet. Sure, it's buggy. Sure, but it's checking boxes. Does it deserve the meme status at this point?
I mean, it's definitely a money laundering scheme for ships that don't exist.
Well, yeah, okay, ignoring that part.
I did spend some real world money and upgrade my backer ship so that I could have a better time in game. What were you going to say, James?
All right, did you go looking for Gargantua? How many times have you role played in your head Interstellar?
Not Interstellar. Actually, it's more Firefly. It's more like we're breaking Atmo. We're doing something stupid on this planet. We got to get back out of Atmo. Like, don't.
How's the sound in game?
The sound? Oh, it's good.
Is it good?
That eerie feeling when like the rushing wind and the shaking and everything drops away and it's just silent.
Nope.
No, I think it sounds pretty good. I don't have any complaints. I mean, they do have some conceits where like you can hear stuff when you're floating outside. All you hear is the sound inside your spacesuit, like the psh, psh of your EVA suit. But when you're shooting and you're sitting inside like the atmosphere inside your ship, you can hear the guns going and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I think I have the title for this episode now.
What?
Jeremiah has a hard out for Star Citizen.
So a lot of the things I said last week are definitely true. I mean, it's very buggy and it has a long way to go before I think it's a real game, but I'm stunned that it's as good as it is.
Do you recommend it at this point, or?
I mean, you can get it. I think the cheapest ship is $35, and that comes with a copy of the game. They also do free fly weekends. I would say do a free fly weekend, because I think it's the type of thing where if the experience of doing all that stuff I described, like it sounds like Dave would not be as into some of that.
Oh, I'm definitely going to try it on a free weekend, for sure.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely recommend that, because like I don't think it's an experience you can get anywhere else. I'd recommend bringing a veteran player along with you if you can, just to get you over the initial learning hump of like, where do I go? Where's my ship? Why? Like in my case, I ran outside an airlock to my ship without a helmet on, like a moron. And I was like, why is my character fast? Like, you got to get over the initial hump of like, I'm too stupid to survive in the universe. And then once you do that, it's a lot of fun. I went to jail. I went to space prison and had to mine in prison in real time to serve out my sentence.
Okay, that's great. Space prison.
Yeah.
Now Joel's gonna buy a copy just so he can violate the law and go to space prison.
Shane says in chat, didn't you say way back in one of the earliest podcasts you'd be joining the other thousands of players naming your ships the Serenity and role-playing like it's Firefly? That is entirely possible. I would certainly believe. I mean, Shane is the podcast historian, so if he says I said it, I said it. But yeah, and the graphics are not quite as mind-blowing as they used to be, but the art direction, I think, is. I mean, the feeling of, like, sunrise in the solar system is just magnificent.
Do you need a minute, Jeremiah?
I'm good.
Remember that time you ate the fried cheesecake? We were at the reenactment.
This is definitely 90% as good as that.
Ooh, that's a rating scale.
I mean, James, I think it is illegal for that many flavors to be on one stick. Like, I'm pretty sure they were like selling that along with the unpasteurized milk. I mean, there's definitely some less than legal activity at least being promoted at that.
There's some less than legal thoughts going on in your head.
Yes. All right. Anyway, it's now time for the news.
News time.
Thank you. So to respect those of us who are big boy YouTubers, I'll just take a stab at this first item and then other people can fill in as they want. Battlefield 2042 has been delayed, which we've been talking about seemed like a realistic possibility. I don't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or if we just talked about it, personally. But
The lack of gameplay, yeah.
Yeah, given that we were a month out from release and we still hadn't seen a single multiplayer match other than like somebody, a hostage, filming a screen at 360p with their phone, that was a little bit odd. And also there wasn't a lot of info about the beta, which is odd. And we thought like maybe they're just, you know, holding their cards close to their chest. And of course, the terrible news from this past week, Michael K. Williams passing away, one of the main characters from Theoretically Story Stuff. I doubt that really affected the decision to delay it. I mean, not to sound callous, but EA wouldn't delay that because of something like that, I'm confident. But I am curious why they would delay the game only 4 weeks. Maybe we haven't seen all this stuff and everything is close to fine, but 4 weeks is really almost nothing in software development lifecycle.
Yeah, that's a small amount.
That's enough time for like one pretty good patch.
I remember hearing that during the closed testing, they canceled the PS crossplay alpha. And so the closed test, I believe, was only Xbox and PC. But there was crossplay in that, the technical test. So I wonder if it's stuff like that, where like they're having some network issues and crossplay issues, and hopefully it's not like a content issue.
That sounds like a really, really just idealistic hope, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah, maybe you've
honest.
seen that was last month.
I mean, considering it's a month, if it's a month before it's supposed to come out, they're delaying it. Like, you know that their goal is to squash as many bugs as possible. Like, they're scrambling to get something releaseable.
Yeah, it probably means
that's not a we're putting it out 6 months because we want to improve. I feel like they're just scrambling at this point. They don't seem like the type of company that's going to say, you know what, we want to make sure we give you the best product possible, so we're going to push it back.
Yeah. Which
Hopefully
I think,
we don't have a Battlefield 4 level launch is all I'm hoping.
yeah, and I think I said this in the last podcast. I don't think the holiday release season matters as nearly as much as it used to. Especially in the Groundhog Day we've been living in for the past year and a half. Like, I don't think people care about like, oh, well, it's winter time, you know, it's fall, it's time for the next Battlefield and Call of Duty releases. Like, I don't think anyone cares. People will play both games if they like them and they're good. It doesn't matter when they come out, I don't think, as long as they're actually good. Now, delaying them a bunch of times, of course, matters when you're trying to build a hype cycle, but like, I don't think the traditional Battlefield release window means anything to most fans of the franchise. I think most fans
are they trying to build a hype cycle at this point? Because we haven't seen any footage.
That's true. That's true. They built a lot of hype this summer for a very short window of time. Like, basically, Portal came out, and they were like, oh, we did not have a follow-up plan. This went better than expected. Go dark. Go dark. Turn off Twitter. We'll come back later. But
Soon.
I would imagine most Battlefield fans just want it to be good, and more than they care about the release date. Right now, I realize I'm not as much of a Battlefield fan anymore. If they said it's coming out in February, and we promise it'll be good in February, my heart rate doesn't go up at all. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Shane mentioned in chat that he thinks it's a placeholder delay. It's probably going to delay the next year. I could see that happening.
I mean, you'd have to assume if they just delayed it a month, they probably knew months ago that they weren't on track. Well, did they already delay this one a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew.
The next Battlefield got a full year delay when COVID hit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
They announced last April that Battlefield 5 was ending, like they were not going to continue with DLCs and new theaters and stuff like that, and that the next Battlefield will also not be until 2021. They said all that last spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, my two main hopes are that we don't get a Battlefield 4 scenario where the game launches and everything, like the cameras are glitching out and the kill cams and the network doesn't work and the game takes 6 months to a year to be even playable. I hope that doesn't happen. That's not technical issues. But I also really hope that design-wise, we don't get what Battlefield 5 got, which was a ping pong game of balance changes and content delays. Right. And Battlefield 5 was exhausting to play as content was released for it because the schedule constantly changed, balance changes like completely changed the game back and forth. I enjoy playing Battlefield 5 now, even by myself, way more than I did a year or two ago because the game is just stable now. It's locked in. It's what it is, and it's actually I think Battlefield 5 is now a solid title in the series. But man, playing it over the 2018 through like early 2020 time period, it was awful.
Dave, I think this next news item is yours as well.
Yeah, nice short one. Hell Let Loose launched with their last Theater of War. they did actually add the largest front in the war, or World War II, the Eastern Front. It launched on PC in July, and they're already dropping an open beta on PS5 right now this weekend, which is nuts to me. That's a fast release schedule. So if you guys on console have been waiting to try Hell Let Loose, free to play this weekend. Carry on.
It's now time for the mail. Does
It's mail time.
We don't have a song for that one.
We don't have a song. Okay. So Quantum of Infinity, old friend of the podcast, wrote in. He actually wrote in a couple weeks ago, but I missed it before the last podcast in all the spam mail that we have in that account. But he wrote into casualshenanigans@gmail.com to be a part of the show, just like you can, and says, first of all, I'm glad your podcast is back in full squad. Even though it's not as frequent as it used to be, I enjoy it twice as much. Thanks, man. I'm going to skim through a little bit of... I read all your stuff, but I'm going to skim through it just a little bit for time's sake. He says, I have a complaint. I want my $50 back. JK. One time I wanted to do a donation to your podcast, but I had strange issues with Patreon payment. I think I remember this. When they finally fixed those issues for me, I decided to donate at the highest tier that you had, since it took a couple months to fix my payment problem and he couldn't donate. That tier included a special song for anyone that donated about your glory and splendor by Joel. So there it is, Casual Shenanigans Gaming episode 146. I'm waiting impatiently for that song, but I had no idea that my brain was about to be damaged permanently. Yes, Joel was right. My brain was bleeding. I almost died from laughing. The amazing quality beat in the background. The only rigidity that I felt is from the lack of oxygen in my lungs. I don't know if that translated to English well. I know
what he's talking about.
What is happening? I can barely breathe. This is a bit more than I expected. The song finally ends. What's even worse is now, not only is my brain permanently damaged, but I started thinking about all of Joel moments now. The piss in the mouth. Over 90 seconds with Joel. I questioned my life too. I almost died from laughing. Thanks, Joel. And then he has some nice stuff to say to the host of the podcast. I will forward that to you guys so you can read it. He says he has this song now as a reward for Twitch channel points. He's dreading a moment when someone redeems those points on his channel and gets to hear that song. We grant you a forever copyright license to use that song for whatever you need to.
Oh, so I shouldn't finish filing the DMCA strike.
D Trucks asks in the live stream chat, just like you can when we record, he says, you guys doing the podcast bi-weekly now? Nice. I'm sorry, D Trucks, do not get your hopes up. We've done it bi-weekly this time, and then we'll see what happens a couple weeks.
Don't even play games bi-weekly anymore.
Aw. James, are you coming into town this year so we can see you?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Gonna make it happen.
It's now time for the comment of the week, a part of the podcast where Dave remembers why he does this when he looks at his toddler son and sets him down behind the office door to go sit down at 9:30 at night in his office chair, pours another cup of coffee, and is like, let's see why they appreciate me this week. He might read something like the following.
All that hits way too close to home, first of all. This week's comment of the week is, of course, on a Battlefield video. Who cares? Only a kid who play nothing other than BF and think he's the best. Every 5 sec, heighting the tab for the scoreboard to let the thing grow in the pants. I've stopped watching.
To let a thing grow in the pants?
The failed translation on this one, I think, is one of my favorites. Every 5 sec, heighting the tab for the scoreboard to let the thing grow in the pants.
He's not wrong.
I love what I think you put out a tweet today, and Scanner Barkley, old friend of the show, responded to it. I love the way he phrased it. He was like, I just love when I find out that I've stolen time from someone's day like this. Like, someone hates it so much, and yet they're here watching.
Oh, man.
Dave, I actually really enjoyed your the screenshot that you shared from the chat, from the Battlefield chat, about the balancing.
Oh, yeah. Where
Can you recount it for us?
Yeah. There was one. I did a video. It's just a goofy video. Someone posted a comment complaining that the tanks in Battlefield weren't realistic enough, which is obvious because it's an arcade game. So I made it into a challenge. Made a whole video where I was only allowed to play with a controller on the tank, and I could only turn the turret at the realistic 9 degrees per second, which is super frustrating, but made it for a pretty funny video. And so somebody responded to the video with, War Thunder limited their tank rotation speeds first, and it was made before. I just posted the Jurassic Park. No one cares.
Well, so War Thunder, the game, did it. So Dave, the YouTuber, cannot do it to prove just because it's an interesting idea in a totally unrelated game.
So that's not what I was referring to, though, Dave. I'm referring to the one where the chat was complaining about, the teams being imbalanced and saying they'll balance it after this match. And then someone chimed in and said, well, Dave's playing. I'm out.
yeah, somebody rage quit 3 minutes into a Battlefield 1 match the other night just because I was there.
I mean, is there a higher mark of excellence than your presence causes people to rage quit?
There's no balancing. Bye.
That did make Thing in Pants grow.
Okay, Thing in Pants should definitely be the title of this podcast. I'll use the title you created. It's good.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap it down this evening?
We can always go with Star Citizen so good now, make Thing in Pants grow.
Man, Joel, aren't you sad you missed out on all of these, I would say double entendres, flagrantly inappropriate comments?
Make sure we uncheck that made for children button on YouTube.
I have never once checked. I double check every time. I'm like, I don't know who's checking that. What sickos are like, this weird animation's for kids.
Usually what that button does is it just mainly it changes what the algorithm recommends the video to, but also it immediately turns off the comments. Because turns out when you make videos just for kids, predators love to congregate on those.
Why can't we have anything? Nope, that didn't sound good. I sounded like I was.
Don't forget, YouTube can write in, but not on a made for kids video. Are we canceled now? Is that how this works?
Can we cancel ourselves?
I feel like I need to after that. I deserve it. All right. As always, you can write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com to be a part of the show. You can tweet,
but don't, because Jeremiah does not deserve nice things.
They don't write in nice things. Tweet @casualshenanigans. You can leave comments. Maybe we'll read some of your comments in the next episode. But as always, thank you guys for coming to hang out with us and talking about last month's games today. Until next time, James, what should the people do?
Slap a seal and stay casual.